Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to November 9th, 2024. I'm your host, Joshua Michael. We got a jam-packed show today. I want to get into the Trump victory for the election and what that means for the state of the world, what that means for the oncoming next 3 months leading up to the inauguration, what the Democrats have planned. But first, I want to get into Trump targets the deep state, targeting compromised bureaucrats, reformation of FISA courts, and exposes the hoax of the abuse of power. Take a listen.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all, and corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption, and there are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy. When possible, we will press criminal charges. Sixth, we will make every Inspector General's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee so they do not become the protectors of the deep state. Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign. Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies. It doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma. Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
If the road were easy, everyone would do it. We don't shy away from challenges. We dive in. And now, live from an undisclosed location in FEMA Region 10, it's your host, Joshua Michael.
All right, welcome, folks. Joshua Michael with Noncompliant America. Thank you very much for joining me. We are in the times where men are tested. We've won the major battle on getting Trump elected. Everybody pitched in. He got the majority vote. He was able to when the delegates leading up to the inauguration. And this right now is not a time to celebrate. You could celebrate for a day, but understand this is a very long war. It's a war we've been talking about for years. We've been leading up to this moment, the resurgence of America. We have a golden opportunity. Rest assured, the captors that run the UN, the World Economic Forum, the World Bank, the United States, Israel, and all the usual suspects tied in with BlackRock, George Soros, all of these people, they are not running scared. Rest assured, this war is not over. It's going to be very long. It's going to be very egregious. The question is, and what I want to talk about today, is what are they planning? What's going to be the counter move between now and the inauguration, and what are they going to do? Raskin has talked about his plan to not certify the election on January 6th. There's already rumors trembling around about them, the leftist Democrats, paid operatives, Antifa groups, talking about going to Washington, D.C. on January 6th to put pressure on everybody to not certify the election. Now, wouldn't that be considered, in the eyes of CNN and the eyes of MSNBC, as an insurrection? Should all those people be imprisoned for 4 years in solitary confinement with no ability to have their legal justice, being charged with nothing? There are still people to this day, right now, let's pray for them. Let's hope for a peaceful transition, but we know that that's not going to happen. And what is it going to look like? What are they gearing up for? We have the tremblings of different movies sponsored by Obama coming out called Civil War. They're priming the pump. They're wanting us fighting. They're wanting us against each other. They're wanting us in everything. And so we've all been primed through COVID, through the Biden administration, through the Obama administration, through the gluttony of greatness and the taste that we got of liberty with Trump for 4 years. We saw the drastic difference. Now lead it to God's timing and God's messaging and his ability in his teachings, because we're on his time, we're not on our time. But think of yourself. Think back right now. Close your eyes and think back. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. How were you feeling? What was being talked about in the dinner table? What was being discussed with everyday people? It was, oh, Trump's great, or Trump's a Nazi, Trump's evil, he's a racist, he's a sexist. And we were always defending ourselves and defending Trump and or attacking Trump and or attacking the conservative movement or attacking the Republicans. And there was this old mind of thinking. But never in my life would I have ever thought that an upcoming president is talking about the levels of corruption to the real degree, down to the bureaucracies and the federal funding and the NGOs and the real corruption with child trafficking, human trafficking, smuggling, linked in with the cartels, these NGO corporations and Catholic groups that are tied right into it and are taking government taxpayer money and using it to smuggle and shuttle these people around, giving them gift cards, subsidies, food, shelter, all of that. And it's all on your dime. So when you ask yourself, when we're in a giant national deficit, and our deficit is exceeding and going up and up and up, and there's speculation that they're going to be dropping the economy, crashing the economy, and basically giving Trump a black pill to swallow going into his inauguration, going into his presidency, and giving him a broken economy. But let's unpack a lot of this stuff. A lot of our budget and a lot of the money that's spent in the federal government can be cut back drastically. I don't know if you remember the senator that testified a few years ago. He had a bag of bolts. And he's testifying. I don't remember how much it was, $60,000, $75,000. for a small bag of bolts. And he said, based on our budget, based on our spending, for these aircrafts and different things in the military, this bag of bolts cost $75,000. So when you say that we're over budget, when you say that, our spending is not going to be sustainable unless we collect taxes, how's he going to maneuver eliminating the income tax? I don't know if you saw that the Powell stated a few days ago that if Trump asked him to step down, he said that that's not his authority. He doesn't have any jurisdiction over us. And in theory, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right in the sense that the Federal Reserve is a private bank that oversees our U.S. currency. Now, he can go through Congress, and we can abolish the Federal Reserve Act, eliminate them, absorb everything into the Treasury, which is how this country was established, and really, really change a lot of our monetary system. All in while in the shadows, in the background, which isn't really in this background anymore, BRICS and other countries are starting to dissent from the United States petrodollar and the dollar itself. And so they are now positioning themselves with a potential collapse of the United States and with a potential economy collapse of the US dollar to where they're still able to operate and be in trade. Because before, 10 years ago, if our dollar were to collapse, it would affect the entire world. So we see them positioning themselves. Now, is this getting them off of the World Bank system, the stronghold that they've had on all these countries for so long? Absolutely, and they're protecting themselves. But interestingly enough, just a few days, literally the day after Trump got elected, Xi Jinping came out and said, we're open to bettering the relationships with the United States. What does that mean? Oh, well, Trump's talking about putting tariffs on everything. And that's how the country used to operate. That's how it used to run. We also have Vladimir Putin said congratulations to Mr. Trump, and he's open to peace talks with Ukraine. We also have Hamas stating, hey, we want to end this conflict in Gaza. So all of these things are happening just because they know the boys are back in town. They know that the no BS president that's actually going to better the entire planet and cut back on all the funding for these wars and cut back all these wars. If we simply just stopped giving these countries money, like Ukraine, the war would stop. The war would stop. Stop trying to put Ukraine into NATO. Let's just leave these countries alone. Stop giving them money. Let them fight on their own. Let them defend themselves. Let's dissolve NATO. Let's dissolve the UN. And if you look back and really deep dive, and I'm going to play another report after this, I don't normally play an entire other broadcast, but Alex Jones is under attack so much, and he's only a few days away from them trying to shut him down through bankruptcy and completely take his name, to take everything. They don't want him on the air. And I know this radio network over at KSLM, they play his show, but they play it at like 2 or 3 in the morning. And I think they need to move him back to prime time. Because what he's talking about and who he's talking to, such as General Flynn, which is going to be part of this report, and the attack formation that we have to be in right now, it's not the time to celebrate. It's not the time to break out the barbecues and go back to sleep. The reason we are here is because God gave us another opportunity to take our country back and take back the moral high ground and the soul and the spirit of America that has screamed all throughout the world with prosperity and liberty and the whole concept of we the people. We have an opportunity to cut the head off the snake. And the only way we can do that is mass arrest, mass deportation, and really take hold of these federal bureaucrats that have been running wild, rampant, unchecked for years, coming after the American people and trying to dismantle the American infrastructure in which our founding fathers built and gave us an opportunity to fight back. We'll be right back.
do not want you to hear this broadcast. Breaking through the censorship and delivering raw, unedited content. It's Joshua Michael with Non-Compliant America.
All right, we are back. We are back, folks, and I am fired up, ready, and willing and able to defeat these satanic pedophile networks that have captured this country and the world for years. And it's up to every single one of us to play our part, do our part, get the message, spread the message. We are in an information war, and we are winning right now. But how is the deep state and the enemy captors, communists, anti-humans going to respond? How are they going to respond? That's the question. They're not going to go quietly into the night. This is a 50, 60-year plan that has been underway. Trump simply got in the way in 2020. It was supposed to be initiated through Hillary Clinton. And you should be living in a digital gulag right now. But they underestimated the power of God and the power of the human spirit that is fighting for its life and fighting for its future in preserving the pro-humanity side of our lives. Now, how are they going to strike back? Millions and millions and millions of people are now set to be flooding the border. Texas braces for a mass migration wave. Greg Abbott has issued a press release detailing efforts and being made under the Operation Lone Stars, what he's calling it, a joint operation between the Texas Department of Public Safety and the Texas Military Department launched in 2021 in response to the ongoing Biden-Harris invasion. An accompanying video shows Texas National Guard soldiers practicing riot control formations and training with pepper ball launchers, which they have been using to deter illegal crossings with increasing frequencies. Now, there's mass migrations happening in Texas, also in Arizona. So far, Arizona hasn't done much about it, but this is a step in the right direction. Again, if you can move the Overton window, if you can pave the path for other states by leading by example and leading the charge, it sets the precedent socially to where what's acceptable and what's not. This is a step in the right direction. I expect to see other states follow suit. Now, is it really going to matter? Is it going to matter to have an influx in migration when Trump and Vance are talking about the biggest mass deportation which needs to happen, starting with the criminals, saving the children, the 325,000 missing children that have been confirmed? Guarantee you it's much, much more than that. Trump needs to come out and vouch to find them, and that is what his plan is. And the media is going to try to spin this in every way possible. And one of the best things that I've seen this week is the fact that Trump is doing these short videos and giving it straight to you. Straight to you to interpret it. With the help of Elon Musk and X and the ability to have that platform. If you are not on X right now, I'm telling you, that is the platform for the future. And it's setting the precedent, but also in this time, this goes back to some of the Q stuff, right? Now, Q, we know what it was, and we know it led a lot of people astray in a lot of ways. But at the same time, it's really difficult to not recognize some of the messaging that was tied in with that movement. And we are now starting to see that. But it's like that old V for Vendetta element. You know, he's like, what were you waiting for? We've been waiting for you. And each and every one of you listening is a part of this war, whether you like it or not. And you're now starting to realize that it's up to us to say no to the mask mandates, to say no to these things, to get behind good people like Kevin Starrett and the Oregon Firearms Federation, to preserve your rights. You can go to OregonFirearmsFederation.com and donate. He needs help right now. He's still fighting Measure 114, both on the state level and the federal level. They're coming after your rights, and I think that all of you now realize that and the importance of it. But also, the most important thing that you can do is to stay informed. And the way that you do that is you get on X, go to x.com, and go to that platform and find the raw information that you need. This is the next wave of this battle, of this war. This is the next wave of attacks. Turn off your TV. Stop watching, Comcast, Time Warner propaganda from Fox News to CNN to all of them. Cut the cord. Cut the cable off. Go straight to the information, straight to what people and good citizen journalists are reporting. Go to that. That is the key to this entire next movement, because the incoming Trump administration needs us to be informed all along the way of these operations, because they're going to get spun and try to be discredited and be misguided, such as all the things that the media has done and spun about what Trump has said, what he's done. He's going to, there's so many. I can't even, there's just so many times where the media has misrepresented everything that he says. The whole recent Nazi rally at the center in New York, calling Trump Hitler and doing all this stuff. But we all know the game now. And now that you know the game, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, and it's up to you to push that agenda forward, to push back when people are misguided with what's going on. Because in order for us to preserve our country, in order for us to restore this republic, it's going to take every single one of you to participate. And the best way and easiest way you can participate is be informed with what's actually going on. And I think that's what led to Trump's landslide victory, where he both got the popular vote and won all the delegates needed, is because we are not buying their propaganda anymore. So the question that I have for you, and the question for the audience, is what is the deep state going to do to respond? How are they going to invoke so much fear by a hardened population that's been beat up, lied to, lied about, deplatformed in every way? How are they going to respond to get us to fall back in line? And if you look at what happened to Alfie Oakes a couple days ago with the FBI raiding him, that's a prime example of what they might do while they're still in power, is try to intimidate us and get us to sit back down. But we're not going to do that, are we? We're not going to do that. We'll be right back.
If the road were easy, everyone would take it. We don't shy away from challenges. We dive in. And now, live from an undisclosed location in FEMA Region 10, it's your host, Joshua Michael.
We're kind of in the calm before the storm, going into this inauguration that is going to be 1776 2.0, the resurgence of the American people, the resurgence of we the people, because we are able to get Trump in as far as elected goes. Now, the next wave and the next battle that every single one of you need to focus on is, what are they going to be doing in these next 70 days to try to dismantle that? And we need to be aware, we need to be vigilant. If a gunfight starts breaking out, don't go grab and participate. We don't want another January 6th type hoax. The FBI and the bad actors within the DOJ and these captors of this country are going to do anything and everything that they can. And I personally believe that they'll start activating some of their splinter groups that they've been funneling in through the open border to try to provoke fear. And we're in the calm before the storm. And this battle has not yet been won and is not over. And so we all need to stay in our attack formation positions and not be coerced, because it's all about information. And I'll tell you a secret. It is all about you, the individual, the connection with God, the connection with your family, the connection with your community. The engagement that you have within your life is what they're trying to take away. They're trying to bleed the innocence from every single ounce of everything good that this country stands for, that the people stand for. And you can't let them break you. You can't let them get to you. And the best thing you can do is align with God and ask God for forgiveness and ask Him for the discernment into this path that we're going down. We can't stop it now. We are absolutely 100% committed, 110% committed. And what are they going to do? Are they going to escalate a new world war? I think that's going to be hard now because negotiations can already happen. Trump no longer will be violating the Logan Act by starting to engage on the world stage. But they do have tricks up their sleeve, and these people are not going to give up. They need to be imprisoned and eradicated from any type of power and control, just like climate control. There's a bunch of radicals right now, the nationalists, trying to preserve climate change. And so Trump is going to withdraw the U.S. from the Paris Climate Accords, which he did already in the beginning of his inauguration in 2017. That was one of the first things he did, was eliminate that, because it's not about climate. It's not about preserving our climate and our culture. It's about the destruction and dismantling of our economy and putting us in a slave-like state and digitizing everything, i.e. the real ID that is coming out and sneaking in like a Trojan horse that nobody's talking about. Nobody's talking about this real ID system and what it's going to mean. What's the difference between a real ID and a driver's license? Why are they not going to allow us to fly unless we have a real ID? A real ID is a new tracking system in which the global stage is trying to roll out, and they've been trying to roll out for hundreds and hundreds of years. Excuse me. Not hundreds and hundreds of years. I'm going off here. But they've been trying to roll out this system because they want to control you. They want to make you poor. They want to make you eat the bugs. And you have an opportunity to reject it in every way. And that's what the basis of this broadcast is and everything else. And so we can now have an opportunity with all the good people. This is not going to be 2017 again. This is not going to be overrun by the Republican rhinos. He's got RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, Vivek Ramaswamy, Elon Musk, some of the great minds and great leaders of this country that actually listen to the people, that actually represent the people. That's what's happening. And so expect to see anything and everything possible. Now, I want to play a short little clip that I think really resembles a lot of things, considering Alex Jones is not on this broadcast. He's not on this radio station throughout the day, in which I think he's giving valuable information. He's been absolutely, completely vindicated. And if you go to realalexjones.com, you can support him. We need to keep his messaging and keep him in line. Trump Jr. is talking about making him press secretary for at least a month when the Trump administration takes power. And I think that will really set the stage and shake things up. And he said he'll do it. And I think that's a valuable message to send to everybody is, hey, listen, there's a lot of really evil things that have been going on in the name of the American people for a long time. And there's only one way for us to get out of it, and that's for every single person to realize the state of the world that we're actually in. And we have to get out of our bubbles for a while. We can't go back to sleep, live in our white picket fence, and just, focus on our family. All the good men and women out there need to get engaged and get involved and realize there's a lot of very, very negative things that have been going on. And it's hard to look at, it's hard to watch, it's hard to comprehend, but we have to go through that judgment in order to preserve the soul of this country and keep the moral high ground and not go dwindling down into the pits of hell and the darkness that they're trying to bring us. We have to go through that light and tunnel and that discernment and ask for that forgiveness and show the world that that is not who we are. That is one of the most important things that we need to do. And so by doing that is getting involved and listening to what Trump's agenda is, listening to his words, listening to what he's going to do and what his plans are. And he's just decimating everywhere. And he's putting out these short clips. He's done like 3 or 4 of them now. They're very, very powerful and they're very focused. And I think it's really important that you guys follow along and get in line with him and align with him, because this is what needs to happen. One of the other things is that he just released another one today talking about the transgender, gender-affirming care and banning it and defunding it all. Take a listen.
Here's my plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children. Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately. Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children. The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers, which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. The bill will also make clear that Title IX prohibits men from participating in women's sports, and we will protect the rights of parents from being forced to allow their minor child to assume a gender which is new and an identity without the parents' consent. The identity will not be new, and it will not be without parental consent. No serious country should be telling its children that they were born with the wrong gender, a concept that was never heard of in all of human history. Nobody's ever heard of this, what's happening today. It was all when the radical left invented it just a few years ago. Under my leadership, this madness will end. Thank you very much.
Wow, that is powerful. So what does that mean? This is an entirely new administration. Trump is holding nothing back. I believe he was playing possum and being very moderate in regards to walking a very fine line to get himself elected. And now he's a wartime president ready to cut the head off the snake of these deep state operatives and operations that have been going on against the American people. And we need to get behind it.
Me and my buddy, we working hard for this money. I can't believe this country did this again.
I can't do this anymore. I'm literally sick. I'm literally sick to my stomach.
I'm going to get drunk today, and I'm gonna act like an angry black f***ing woman, because I'm f***ing angry!
No! He's a felon! He's a felon! He's a villain! He's a felon! I don't want him here anymore. What has happened to America? What has happened to democracy? What has happened to freedom? I'm done.
Does anybody know how to find or hire a hitman or woman? Because we don't want to be sexist. I'm angry, bro. I'm angry. I'm hurt. My feelings are hurt.
I am so frustrated! He's ruining my life, her life, and the lives of every single immigrant in this country!
He is a fake ass motherfucker who is not a real human being. He's a piece of shit.
I hope you were so f***ing happy that the economy is supposedly going to be okay now because you voted for Donald Trump, the man who was going to take away all the rights of so many groups of people, not even just f***ing trans people, so many groups of f***ing people that are not straight cis white men.
But I could see it, like, breaking me and my parents apart because they just don't get it, and they don't get that they voted for someone who's gonna make my friends' lives hell. My life's okay, I'm a white woman, but my friends are not gonna be okay.
Why did I let myself have hope? I hope at the end of this, when we're destroyed, that you f***ers are happy. I fucking hope you're happy.
I also not only won't care when all the bad stuff that's gonna happen happens to you, I actually want it to happen to you.
I'm angry as I'm gonna get drunk and cause a problem.
How am I supposed to go to work and do all of my normal daily activities when I know that we all just chose for things to get exponentially harder? And I just want my mom. But my mom voted for it.
Oh gosh, that's good. That never gets old. These people, they have no idea how to live and exist in a modern world. They've been so domesticated and they're so docile that they're scared that somebody that's going to create prosperity in this country is going to somehow hurt them. And, you know, like the elephant in the room, the parent at the table, just because it's something that you want to do and you want to act like a child doesn't mean that it's good for you. And sometimes the parents need to make the hard decisions and say, yeah, guess what? I know you're confused right now. I know you're 8 years old or you're 6 years old or you're 5 years old and your teacher's telling you that you might be a girl and you're really a boy. Yeah, you're just confused. And they're not doing you injustice by doing that. And it's absolutely appalling that they're going to do that. Now, there's so many of these Trump clips that he's coming out with new ones like every day. Right? I think he just launched this one today. But his plan to deploy National Guard and federal assets to every major city to restore law and order, allowing citizens to sue local officials for damages caused by their policies, and passing a concealed carry legislation allowing gun owners to carry beyond their state lines. That is ginormous and absolutely devastating to the tyrannical groups that want to capture us and disarm us and make us poor and make us unhappy and get us all fighting with each other. Men versus women, black versus white, Hispanic versus white. All of these little groups that are trying to create division, and he's simply going to bring us together. Because guess what? We're all red-blooded Americans, and we all pretty much want the same thing. We might have some little differences, but do you know what's so great? You know what's so lovely? Is the fact that Trump has brought in Democrats, real liberals, into his administration, and they're an active role, an active part. And that's such a beautiful thing. I think if we can pull this off, it will be the end of the Democratic Party completely. And I hope and I pray that one day there is going to be so much good things that happen and the knife gets out of our back that we're able to turn Oregon red. Because it already is. Let's be real. There's some radical cities that have strongholds and holding this state captured. But just like California, if you saw the voter turnout in California, huge percentage of California has shifted from 2020's votes further to the right, more red, voted for Trump, voted for Republicans, and are really giving them a run for their money. People are rejecting these policies in droves. And as long as there's an outlet and there's a better door or a better pathway for us to walk through, we're always going to take it. Deep down, we're selfish creatures in every way. In every way. We're always going to take the better path that's going to better our lives. It's stupid and ignorant to have an ego and think that, oh, I'm going to make my life harder just to prove a point. And now there's people out there that do that. There's people out there that do that and they hang on to things and they can't get over them. But check this out. Check this out. So here's a couple of his points. Sign a record investment in hiring, retention, and training for police officers. So he's going to increase the police force, which is great. Return to proven policy measures such as stop and frisk, strictly enforcing existing gun laws. Take on, and if needed, prosecute the radical Soros Marxist prosecutors not enforcing the rule of law. We've seen that time and time again. Guy goes out, shoots a bunch of people, he's out in 2 hours. No bail posted. Give victims of radical left prosecutors who choose not to prosecute criminals and the ability to sue local officials for harm and suffering. If your family was victimized by somebody and some radical prosecutor decided not to prosecute, you will now have the ability to go after the prosecutor. That is ginormous because it's going to hold a standard of justice and a standard of accountability. This is so huge. This is why they have fought. They've tried to shoot him. They've tried to kill him multiple times. There was just a potential assassination attempt yesterday. They're going to do everything that they can to try to stop this because it's part of a long-term plan to enslave us into our own digital gulag system. And we have the opportunity, and we've now elected a man that is vouched to fight these guys and take them head on. And he's already showing in grave detail how much he's going to do it. Another one. Instruct DOJ to dismantle every gang, street crew, drug network in America. Death penalty for drug dealers and human traffickers. That is ginormous. Just like what El Salvador did. Look at how El Salvador is now. They took these measures and got the MS-13 gangs and their networks and rolled them all up. Now they're one of the safest countries in the world. Deploy federal assets, including National Guard, to restore law and order when local law enforcement refuses to act. Boom. Overhaul school discipline and juvenile justice, education, and justice departments to overall federal standards on disciplining minors. When troubled youths are out on the streets going wild, we will stop it. The consequences will be swift, certain, and strong, and they certainly can do that. Kids can be saved. Kids can be re-educated. A lot of it's because they don't have love and they got troubled childhoods and their parents are out doing drugs or taking fentanyl that's coming in through the border. Sign a concealed carry legislation. Second Amendment won't end at the state lines. Secure the border dramatically, increase interior enforcement, and wage war on the cartels because we are in a war, folks. We are in a war. And we have an opportunity to restore this republic. Thank you very much for listening. Joshua Michael, Noncompliant America. Like, subscribe, share, follow me on X at NoncompliantAF, and go to noncompliantamerica.com.